This episode of Black Box Online Radio is brought to you by Rep Sports and Raze Energy. Are you a fan of energy drinks, protein shakes, and health foods? Well, I sure am. I use the stuff almost every single day. They sell Raze Energy products at my local gym, but you can have them shipped to your home. Use the coupon code NED075, that's NED075, for discounts applied at the checkout. The link is in the description box.
Hello, my name is Ned, and welcome to Black Box Online Radio's Zodiac Killer Debunking Series, where I talk about Zodiac suspects who I think are absolutely not the Zodiac Killer. And if there's a particular suspect that you haven't heard yet on the debunking series in the playlist, you can recommend one down below that you would like covered on the channel. And today I'm going to be talking all about the Zodiac Killer suspect, Edward Wayne Edwards. Much of this profile for him has been created by a writer named John Cameron, who is a former member of law enforcement, and he accuses Ed Edwards of a host of crimes, an enormous list of crimes, perhaps even over 600 murders. But I've never done a full episode on Black Box Online Radio about Edward Wayne Edwards because I felt that I didn't have a lot of positive things to say. Perhaps you're familiar with the expression, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Maybe some of that material, though, is going to work in nicely to the debunking series. And as always, you can like and subscribe if you like what you hear. The first point against this idea of Edward Wayne Edwards being the Zodiac Killer is he was a real serial killer, but he was also a sexually motivated serial killer. And some of the points that John Cameron has brought up are that Edward Wayne Edwards committed crimes by fire, burning the bodies of the victims. He also at one point even attempted to cannibalize some of the victims. And those details just are not present in the Zodiac Killer mystery. The Zodiac Killer operated mostly between 1968 and 69. Some people have tried to connect the Zodiac Killer to other crimes, perhaps in the early 1960s, or later crimes, perhaps in the 1970s and 80s. But the confirmed crimes that occurred in 68 and 69 do not have anyone cannibalizing the victims, and the victims were also not burned. It is true that the Zodiac Killer mailed in the 1970 Halloween card, which featured the words, by rope, by knife, by gun, by fire. And Edward Wayne Edwards was reported to have killed by rope, by knife, by gun, by fire. But did the Zodiac Killer? In fact, that's one of the biggest reasons why I think the 1963 Domingos Edwards murders, a possible Zodiac crime, was not really the Zodiac, because the Zodiac dragged the dead bodies of the victims to a seaside shack and attempted to set the shack on fire by striking matches and tried to set a tarp that was hanging over the door to the shack on fire, mostly unsuccessfully. But again, those types of details just are not present in the Zodiac Killer mystery, not to mention the fact that Cameron also talks about how Ed Edwards was a criminal thug. He was somebody who was very intelligent, very well read, but he also only had a 6th grade education, and he would resort to stealing, robberies. One time he was even the coach of a wrestling team, and he stole the funds of the wrestling team and skipped town. With the exception of stealing Paul Stein's wallet in the taxicab on October 11th of 1969, the Zodiac didn't commit crimes for a financial reason. And I don't even believe the Zodiac stole Paul Stein's wallet for the money, like some people have theorized. I'm really not sure what to make of that. It goes into this question mark category. I do not see any evidence that the Zodiac was a criminal thug who committed crimes for financial reasons. But I suppose that anything is possible. There are some other points, though, that John Cameron uses as evidence to show that Edward Wayne Edwards could have also been the Zodiac Killer. And one is that he wrote letters to the editor, and the Zodiac Killer tried to get the attention of newspaper editors, and then when Edward Wayne Edwards would do this, he would begin his letters with, "Dear Editor." And the Zodiac said, "Dear Editor," in his letters, right? Steve Hodel said something very similar about his Zodiac Killer suspect, his own father, nonetheless, George Hill Hodel, and I have a debunking video about him in this series. Well, who should be addressed in these letters? if you're writing a letter to the editor and you're saying, "Dear editor," the thing that Steve Hodel actually said was George Hodel and the Black Dahlia Avenger wrote to the editor when they were writing letters to the editor. Well, if someone is trying to get the attention of a newspaper editor, what should he put down? "Dear John Smith, to John Smith." No, you're writing to the editor. That's all that is. And I know that might come across as a little bit dismissive, but I believe that there is just this enormous amount of pattern seeking that is going on in the Edward Wayne Edwards theory. Another point of evidence in favor of Edward Wayne Edwards being the Zodiac killer. He spent time in Deer Lodge Prison in the state of Montana, and it's possible that the Zodiac killer said the words Deer Lodge Prison at the Lake Berryessa stabbing on September 27th of 1969. Point number one. We aren't completely sure what the Zodiac said. It was purely based off Brian Hartnell's memory, the surviving victim. There are no audio recordings, no video recordings, no transcript that has been made by the Zodiac and then mailed in. Yes, indeed, I did say I was at Deer Lodge Prison. So that's hanging by a leaf, hanging by a thread, rather. Maybe that's the better expression. But let's look at that. Is Edward Wayne Edwards the only Zodiac killer suspect to spend time in Deer Lodge Prison? Nope. Well, why not Donald Lee Booyock? Why not Frank Dryman Valentine? And there's this very wild story on the internet that in Deer Lodge Prison in Montana in the 1960s, people talked about having slaves in the afterlife, or it was this type of almost underground belief system where somebody would say that I am going to kill someone, and when I die, I will be reborn in paradise, and those who I have killed will become my slaves. The problem with that is, firstly, the Zodiac did indeed say that in the 408 cipher, the first cipher that was solved, that those who I have killed will be my slaves when I am reborn in paradise. I'm paraphrasing. But the problem with that is, that just goes to show that it was a commonly held belief or a frequently uttered statement at the time. No specific way of tying that to Edward Wayne Edwards. I mean, again, how do you know that this specific person was trying to convey that specific message by simply saying that someone in a similar part of the country also said something similar during a 10-year time frame? That's insufficient evidence. And if you want to talk about insufficient evidence, there is the solution to the Z13 cipher, which reveals the name Ed Edwards. And I first heard about this from two guys who had a video that was featured on the Paramount Network that has since been uploaded to YouTube. And what they put in their video was that the name Edward Edwards has 13 letters. The Zodiac Killer's Z13 cipher has 13 symbols. So, is this the solution that we are meant to find? Because the Z13 cipher is also called the My Name Is cipher. And some people think that that's all you need to do. You need to find a suspect with 13 letters in his name, and you found the solution. How many Zodiac killer suspects have 13 letters in their names? I have a whole episode on this channel called Zodiac Killer Can't Count the Symbols, addressing that very concept. And let alone you're dealing with middle names, middle initials. And in that episode, I show and list numerous Zodiac suspects who have 13 letters in their name. This is just taking some very basic statements and trying to stitch them together with imagination, in my own personal take on the subject. And if anybody would like to dispute this with me, you can put your ideas in the comment section down below. I would love to read your messages, and maybe they will be featured in a future episode of Black Box Online Radio. You can always tune into Zodiac Mondays, every Monday talking about the Zodiac Killer. But I think that this is a big case of plausible deniability. I was going to do this entire episode based on plausible deniability, saying, okay, well, it appears that someone is just trying to link Ed Edwards to a host of crimes, hundreds of murders. And when I did the first episode on George Hill Hodel here on this channel, someone wrote in the comments section saying, George Hill Hodel is a lot like the Zodiac suspect Edward Edwards. They try to blame him for every crime west of the Mississippi that happened in the 20th century. And no, with Edward Wayne Edwards, it's not every crime west of the Mississippi. Only 660 of them, 660 murders, so says John Cameron, who wrote the book on the subject, but plausible deniability has to come into play for the following reason. Edward Edwards has also been accused of the murder of JonBenet Ramsey. If you get on his Wikipedia, you can, or I think it's actually the Wikipedia for the Zodiac, you can just find that he's also accused of committing the murder of JonBenet Ramsey in big, bold letters. And during his House of Mystery interview, John Cameron also accused Edward Wayne Edwards of committing the double homicide attributed to Darlie Routier in Texas back in the 90s. Plausible deniability. This is just someone giving a wild story. Say, for example, with the Darlie Routier case, most likely she committed the crime herself, murdering her own 2 sons. They have forensic evidence to support that. She inflicted her own injuries, caused her own stab wounds by leaning over the kitchen sink, which caused a large pool of blood to drop down right there. And they also believe that she very slowly walked throughout the house and let the blood drip from her appendages so it would go in calculated areas and they fall in perfect circles as opposed to elongated ones if she were actually running and fighting an intruder. There is so much forensic evidence to convict Darlie Routier. I absolutely do not believe that that crime was committed by Ed Edwards. Now, to say something positive about John Cameron and anyone who believes that Edward Wayne Edwards could be a Zodiac killer suspect, I can probably give you 125 or 150 reasons why Ed Edwards could be the Zodiac killer, but they're all requiring a little bit of imagination. I mean, I can talk to you about how he was from Ohio, and there could be some clues from Ohio in there, or about linking together the names of some people, like he committed the murder of someone who had the last name Shepard, and one of the Zodiac killer victims was named Shepard, or the idea that the slaves in the afterlife in paradise, that comes from Egyptian mythology, because the program, The Bible Geek, did address this, talking about, well, what could be the origin of the Zodiac killer's language, saying that I will be reborn in paradise, and those whom I have killed will be my slaves. And he postulated, if I'm using the word correctly, that could be referring to Egyptian mythology. So some things are falling into place. But not only are they not circumstantial, it's like taking these very, very basic points and connecting them with imaginary reasons. And that's why Edward Wayne Edwards has to go into the debunked category. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And one more time, you can share any suspects that you would like covered in the debunking series. And please tune in every Monday for Zodiac Mondays, as well as listening to any of the other content here on Black Box Online Radio. And there are lots of links in the description box to explore. Okay, well, that's all for me now, and I will see you on Instagram, BlackBoxNid88, for the bonus podcast. Until next time.